Hey, y'all, this is T. Graham Brown, and you're listening to the Nothing Shocking podcast, baby.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Untied, and with me in Dog Bowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on X at No Shock Pod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, and downtown Davenport, Iowa. We'd like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. Tonight's guest is
T. Graham Brown.
Yeah, country legend.
Yes.
What's he promoting there?
25th anniversary of Wine Into Water album.
He's also writing his autobiography.
He also has a new album coming out later this year, From Memphis to Muscle Shoals.
Great interview. Hey, let's get to it.
All right, good night.
Good night. T. Graham, welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'd like to introduce you to my co-host, Jeff Untied.
Hey, T, thanks for coming and joining us tonight.
Oh, glad to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're excited to have you tonight. Let's get right into it. This past 2023, you have celebrated the 25th anniversary of the Wine Into Water album. Can you talk a little bit more about the 25th anniversary re-release of this endeavor of 25 years ago?
Man, well, I had a up and down 90s, and we went to studio in 98 and cut a really cool record, I think. You know, it's kind of held up through the years and still at it, man. I've been doing this for a living now for 51 years this year, and still got a band and a bus and out there beating the road and still making records and having fun.
Fantastic.
Talk a little bit about that title track, Wine Into Water. That was, it's got some pretty powerful lyrics in there. You know, first thing I remember when I was listening to it, you're pleading with the Father can make water into wine, and then, hey, this one time, can you just turn wine into water? It was very powerful.
Well, I had a bad drug and alcohol problem at one time, man. I'd get on the horse and ride a while and fall off, and get on the horse and ride a while and fall off, but I just never could stay quit. And a friend of mine brought that Wine Into Water idea to a writing session one day. It was one of my best friends. He came up with that idea, and I know that he was thinking about me because I was going through a really rough time. And, we wrote that song, and it's just kind of turned into a anthem, I guess, for recovery groups. I hear from people all over the world. No joke. I heard from a guy in India a couple of months ago, a filmmaker, and they made a movie about it. It's called Grace, and he sent me the trailer to it, and it's a heavy duty thing, and it's just helped people, man. I think God has used that song through the years to help a lot of folks. It's never was a hit really, but it's gotten passed around from, person to person, family to family. And, I'm just glad it's out there doing something good.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about Wine into Water. Like you said, it's a track that's been passed down for the last 25 years, but it feels like it's going to be one of those songs that's going to stand the test of time. It's going to be here until the end of days. It'll be played. For you, the artist that created this song, how do you process something like that to have a track out there that transcends years?
I'm just so glad it's helping people. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing about the song. It's just turned into this thing, and it's helping people. And like I said, I hear from people all the time from all over the world. I got a message from a guy in Birmingham, England the other day. Said, I just left a group of 500 alcoholics standing up singing Wine into Water, and just want to let you know. And I hear from people that were fixing to, this woman told me her husband had beaten her up again, and she went out on a lonely road and was going to shoot herself, and turned the radio on, and Wine into Water came on right that second, and she changed her mind. And I hear from people in prison, or I hear from mothers, that their kids are in trouble or their daddy's in trouble, and that Wine into Water's helping them. It's just doing its thing. We would have never dreamed it. We're really proud of that song.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. Another one that, pardon the pun, I fell in love with was A Better Word for Love.
A Better Word for Love. That's a pretty song.
Yes, that one got me by the heartstrings.
Yeah, I think Gary Nicholson and Al Anderson wrote that song, if I can remember right. That's been a long time ago. I've had several albums since then, and I've kind of gotten in the habit of putting Wine into Water on every album I do, just so it'll be there, for people to hear. The last version I cut, we did a gospel album. Was the last real studio record I've done, and we got a Grammy nomination on it. It was a real cool version of Wine into Water on it, and I'm still making new music. I just cut a soul tribute album. It's called From Memphis to Muscle Shoals. It hadn't come out yet, and I cut a bunch of old 60s soul songs that were either originally cut in Memphis or Muscle Shoals. And I called up some friends. Sammy Hagar singing Walking the Dog with me, and Delbert McClinton's on it, and Tanya Tucker and Winona and Dwight Yoakam, and Sam Moore from Sam and Dave, and Betty Levette, and this Christian artist, Zach Williams, this great singer. He's out there playing arenas right now. He just sent me his track. He did When a Man Loves a Woman with me on it. So I'm still doing my thing, but I end every show with Wine into Water, and I tell them my story, and I tell them I got a really bad bipolar problem, and thank God they make medicine for that now. I just tell people about my main thing these days, guys, is trying to help people. My wife Sheila and I have been together since 1979, and our thing is just trying to help people. I'm just trying to save people some trouble, man. That's my whole deal.
Oh, very good. Well, every artist we've spoke to when it comes to re-releasing older material expressed their need to add bonus tracks or adding a unique packaging to the product that's being re-released. What was your approach and the label's approach when it came to re-releasing Wine into Water?
Well, I just always cut a new version of it, and it might have different instrumentation, or I've done just me and an acoustic guitar doing it.
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted to keep it out there in public consciousness some way. And it's crazy, man. I had a pretty good run at country radio in the 80s and 90s. I mean, I had number ones and all that. And but Wine into Water's turned into the biggest hit I've ever had. People want to hear that just about more than anything else.
That is so cool.
Very cool. What kind of did you do any touring last year to support it? What were some of the shows?
Yeah,
like?
we probably did. I guess we did about 60 shows last year. Nice. We'll probably wind up doing 50 or 60 this year. You know, my deal is pretty much country R&B is what we do. I mean, I have horns and I got a great band. We have a lot of fun. We play all kinds of music. I mean, I do all those country hits, but we play some gospel. We play a lot of R&B, just some straight up rock and roll. We play a little bit of everything, man. I grew up in the 60s, and I grew up with a transistor radio glued to my ear, and I heard Johnny Cash and Jerry Lee and all the country stuff, but I grew up about 70 miles from Otis Redding, so I heard all that, Macon, Georgia stuff, all the Allman Brothers and Marshall Tucker Band and all that. But then I heard the Beatles and the Stones and Paul Revere and the Raiders and Dylan and just everything. So I'm kind of a confused musician, I guess. I never have been able to figure out really what I am.
Well, you know, when it came to tour support off of the 25th anniversary, was there a consensus effort into I guess maybe playing the album in its entirety, or was that how did you guys approach that?
Man, we usually I'm trying to remember. I had about 20 Billboard chart records, and I don't know how many top tens and all that. I had some big hits, and we usually play all the hits. You know, we don't play like an album. We don't play a certain album from top to bottom, but we play all the hits people expect to hear. And I play a couple off the new soul record that'll be coming out, and I play a couple of gospel songs, maybe throw a Merle Haggard song in there, or just it's kind of it's hard to describe. It's all over the place.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah.
You know what? I wanted to discuss Memphis Women and Chicken. Yeah. Dilbert McClinton on harmonica on that track.
That's one of my favorites.
Talk about that. You talk about a little bit more about that.
Well, on that particular, you're talking about the Wine in the Water album.
Yes.
Well, a friend of mine, Gary Nicholson, wrote a bunch of the songs on this record. He's one of my best friends, and we've made a couple of records together, and he's produced Delbert, and he wrote that with Dan Penn and
I got Donnie Fritz,
Donnie Fritz, yes. And so they played me that song one night, and we cut it, and that thing's, man, since then, I think I was the first one to ever cut that song, and it was a blues hit.
Yeah.
But it's been covered by a bunch of people since then. I wish my name was on that song. I love we play that song. We usually open up our show with Memphis Women and Chicken.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Jeff, you got the next one?
Well, can you talk a little bit about your stage, performance, like, and what do fans expect when you get up there, and how do you approach playing live?
Well, I've learned how to sing a lot better, man, in 50 years. I'm singing probably better now than I ever have before. And it's just like I said, man, I just sing with soul and passion, and I sing on pitch. That's one of my number one things, is to sing on pitch. When I go in the studio, we don't have to tune me very, very much. I'm pretty good about that, and I just want to make people happy. People, people ask me what I do. I'll run into people that don't know who I am at all, and they'll ask me what I do for a living. And I say, man, I got the best job in the world. I get to make people happy for a living. So basically, that's what I'm all about. And I think that's what music is all about, is to make people forget their troubles and just have a good time and get into it. There's been a big resurgence in 80s and 90s country, interest in 80s and 90s country. So we see a lot of young people at our shows, and we just try to turn them on, man,
Nice. Absolutely. Well, take us back a little bit here. You've been doing this for a long time. You've recorded so much material in your professional career. But can you talk a little about the evolution of you as a recording artist from the infancies until the present time?
Well, I started out in Athens, Georgia. That's where I'm from. And started out in a Holiday Inn in Athens, Georgia, singing beach music. I don't know if y'all know what beach music is. It's like southeastern R&B. It's kind of what it is, and it's actually still a format. I can't believe they're still playing that stuff, because Sirius XM has a beach music channel, so it's an authentic genre of music. I started out doing that, which was just basically R&B, and then I cut a couple of little singles of that kind of music, and then I put a country rock and roll band together in the mid-'70s and did that for 3 years. And I went down to Capricorn Studios in Macon and cut some stuff down there for Phil Walden that never did anything, but it was a lot of fun. And then I put a band together called T. Graham Brown's Rack of Spam, and it was just a straight-up soul band. And then I moved to Nashville in '82 and basically started over and started singing demos, and I got to be one of the most in-demand demo singers. But what that got me was studio experience, man. I mean, I cut hundreds and hundreds of demos, so I was in the studio all the time, and I learned a lot. And I think my records have just gotten better over the years. I'm singing better. I'm having more fun doing it. Back then, man, I was chasing a hit like 300 days a year on the road and trying to keep a bullet in the charts and visiting radio stations every day. And it was just a whirlwind grind, crazy, crazy life. And now I'm not out there beating, dying to have a hit. I've done all that. I can do what I want to do. I get to be in movies. I believe it or not, I just played Johnny Cash in a scene in a movie Monday, a couple of days ago. Awesome. That was pretty surreal. But I just get to do all kinds of fun stuff. I have a show that I'm into my 5th year on Sirius XM radio. I have my own show that I do that airs 10 times a month on the Prime Country Channel, and I play live cuts from artists' live albums. It's just like going from concert to concert. It's nice. A really cool deal, and I'm going to put out an autobiography this year, and we've been working on that. So we get to do all kinds of fun stuff.
You do.
Yeah. Well, you just kind of hit it on one of the questions I had about acting. I read that back in 1977, you'd had a cameo appearance in Richard Pryor's Greased Lightning.
They filmed that thing down in Athens. Yeah. Right out in the suburbs of Athens. So I went over there and I was just hanging around, man. I basically BS'd my way into it. I kind of wouldn't go away. Yeah. And so I got to hang with all those guys for about 6 weeks, and that was a lot of fun. But the most fun about that whole experience was getting to know and become friends with and stay friends with Richie Havens. Y'all know who Richie Havens is?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, he turned into be a really good friend of mine. And I remember one night in Athens, I took him to just this old grungy nightclub that I would play occasionally. And all the kids sat around on the floor and Richie played. And it was just a wonderful night. And he was so sweet to me, just so sweet. And that was just a fun experience, you know. It wasn't some big acting part, but I did get to have a lot of fun.
Well, I'm a big racing fan, so I try to watch any movie that comes out that's about racing. Did you have any interest in racing, or was that just a right place, right time chance?
Oh man, you know, I'm a sucker for a cheap thrill. You know, I've turned over 200 hot laps in a race ready Winston Cup car at Charlotte. Man, I mean, I've had some seat time in a NASCAR car, and I've always had motorcycles since I was 10, and I like to go fast. If I get in a car, I got to see how fast it goes. So, yeah, I'm
awesome.
It's gotten me in trouble a couple of times, but I'm an adrenaline junkie.
Oh, so cool. Well, I want to bring this back to Wine into Water, the original 1998 release. It was praised by and critically acclaimed by critics and fans all over the world. You know, take us back to the recording of that album. Did you have any idea, you know, that you were onto something so special back in the infancies of it all?
I didn't have a clue. I know this, that I used to write for a company called CBS Songs, and it morphed into EMI. It's now Sony ATV. And that's where most of my catalog is. But I had left there for a couple of years, and one thing that they recognized that I didn't recognize is I played Wine in the Water for the guy that was running the company back then, and he re-signed me as a writer, giving me a ton of money just on the basis of that one song. So that was the first hint that I had that it might be special. I was so stupid that I didn't realize we were on to anything that was going to last or really be anything good. I just thought it was going to be a one-off nothing, you know. So, but you know, that thing's been covered over 100 times. It's crazy. That song has just taken on a life of its own. And like I said, I'm so thankful that it's helping people, because I was in that deep in that addiction deal, and I know how hard it is to get out of it. And I'm just glad that I sing it at rehab places, at churches, at there's a judge right outside of Nashville in this little town called Franklin, Tennessee, that has me come down and sing it to her DUI court. She has a little program that if you go through it, she'll expunge your DUI from your record, and has a little graduation ceremony. It's a really sweet little thing, and I'll go down there and sing it for them. And I'm just so happy about Wine into Water helping people. Like I said, that's basically what my wife and I are all about these days, are helping people to get straightened out and stay straight, and tell them about mental illness and how to deal with that.
Well, you know, as the mixing and mastering of that album was concluded, did you have any issues walking away from that album without tinkering with it any longer? Were you satisfied with the end product back in 1998?
I think I finally found my voice on that record, so to speak. It was like the beginning of finding my voice. Now I'm totally 100% happy with my singing. It took a long time to get that way, though. I mean, it took a long time. And that Wine into Water album, I remember that being something that I finally made an album that I liked. After having hits and all that, I cut basically all my hits down in Muscle Shoals. You know, I've been going down there for years, but the Wine into Water record, I just felt like I'd finally learned how to sing.
Fair enough.
That was a milestone in my life, cutting that album. It really helped my head.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to also take it back to 1982 time frame with you had talked about coming to Nashville and doing the studio time, but I had read that you had got a chance to do a lot of jingles for major companies like McDonald's and Coca-Cola, but one of the big ones is the Taco Bell Run for the Border commercials, which I remember as a kid.
Yeah, I did those for 4 years, man. I was on TV. I was the Taco Bell guy. I was actually in the commercial. One of the best things about that Taco Bell run was I did one with Little Richard, and it snowed that day, and Little Richard and I were in a dressing room together the whole day, and we went on to be like best friends. It was great, man, up until he died. Little Richard and I were really, really close, and he would call on me for different things, and just knowing Little Richard was one of the best things that came from that Taco Bell run.
Oh, so cool. You've worked with Chad Cromwell, drummer, and that guy has worked with everybody. Can you talk a little bit more about your relationship with Chad? How many albums have you worked with him on in the past years?
I don't know if maybe 2 albums, but Chad's a really popular drummer. I've worked with a lot of these Ace session guys and gotten to know them. A lot of these guys started out when I was starting out singing demos. Those 18 guys that went on to be in the Musicians Hall of Fame, they were playing demos at the time. Like Michael Rhodes, one of the greatest bass players in history, God rest his soul, was playing bass on a lot of that stuff. Eddie Bears, the drummer, I don't know if y'all know who Eddie Bears is, but he's in the Musicians Hall of Fame now. Mm-hmm. And he played on a lot of those players were doing demo sessions back then. They weren't really maybe doing a few master sessions, but they were mainly demo musicians back then, and that's where I got to know all those folks.
Oh, very good.
Well, I know you talked about getting out on the road this year. I know on your website from February to April you have a couple of dates out there, Tennessee, Virginia, Texas, and Kentucky. What's the methodology now for do you get out there just do like a couple shows a month or one show a month? How does it work for you now?
Oh, it'll probably morph into at this point in my life, I don't like to work too much. I'll probably, like I said, I'll probably wind up doing 50 or 60 shows this year. We mainly work on Fridays and Saturdays. With the bus will leave Nashville at midnight on Thursday, and we'll wake up in some parking lot on Friday morning and do that, and then after the show Saturday night, we'll wake up in Nashville, and then during the week I do pretty much what I want to do. It's not that complicated, really, Yeah. It's pretty easy. It's not some big fancy tour, big time tour. I used to, when I was hitting, I used to be on all the big tours and all, but guys at this point, I'm 69 years old, and guys like me usually don't like to work too hard.
Yeah.
Luckily, I'm at a place in my life that I don't have to work so much, and I can kind of pick and choose, and I do stuff I want to do. And we do a lot of fairs and festivals, outdoor shows. We do a lot of those old movie theaters that were built in the 30s and 40s that have been restored. We do all kinds of little venues, man. We don't play 5,000 seat places. We'll play 1,200 seaters, something like that. And unless it's some outdoor festival, and there might be tens of thousands of people there, but we generally play smaller venues.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite shows.
Absolutely. Got one last question for you, and then we'll leave you alone for the evening. You've alluded to you're going to be releasing an autobiography here later this year. Talk about the daunting task of being a part of an autobiography.
Well, thank God my wife Sheila's got a great memory. My memory's not as great as it probably should be, because I've done so much damage to my brain cells. But Sheila's got an awesome memory, and she'll remind me of things. And then she's just got boxes of pictures, through the years, and that'll remind us of stories. Or, I met Conway Twitty. I wanted to introduce myself to Conway Twitty, and he was taking a leak in a men's room, and I went in there in the urinal next to him, and I didn't even have to pee. I just reached my hand, and I was pretending to pee, and I reached my hand over the little urinal partition and introduced myself. So just junk like that, and it was so funny. And I later went on to tour with Conway Twitty. So I mean, I got Willie Nelson, Merle. I came along at a great time, man. I got to work with all my heroes and tour with them and be friends with them, actually. And I call them the one name people. It's like Willie, Waylon, Merle, George and Tammy, Conway and Loretta, Johnny and June, Kenny and Dolly. All those people I got to work with. So I got a lot of stories. Hey, let me just say, I've had a wonderful, wonderful life, and I've had a wonderful career, and I'm very, very happy. And I'm just thankful to be able to get out there and still sing like I'm singing, man. I'm really proud of myself, and I'm happy, and I think that's the bottom line.
That's awesome.
And we're proud of you too.
Yeah.
So we're out of our allotted time for the evening. Is there anything that we left off tonight that you would like to plug or promote?
Well, just the From Memphis to Muscle Shoals record is going to be killer, man. It's the coolest record I've ever made in my career. And it sounds like it was cut in 1967. It's a total throwback record, and it's just the coolest thing I've ever done. And they're going to start releasing tracks to all the streaming platforms next month, and probably one track a month. And I think it's going to come out in August. And I'm just really, really proud of it. And if you get a chance to check a tune out, I think you'll really like it. If you like classic soul music, you're going to really like this record.
Yeah, we're so excited for you. Well, this is how things are going to work out. We're about 2 weeks behind on our episodes. Once Jeff, the editing wizard over here, he'll clean all of our boogers up tonight, and we'll send it to your press person, and please share it to all your social platforms. We really appreciate it.
We'll do it, buddy. And thanks for having me, guys. And God bless you guys. And good luck on your podcast, man. I know how hard that is. Good luck on it.
Thank you so much, T. Graham. It was an honor.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys. If you ever need me, just holler.
Will do. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
All right, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The Sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.